Hey there, I'm here with Pastor Nick, and Pastor Nick, I'm so excited that in our church, even in the midst of this crazy season, we've remained committed to the main thing, and that is to figure out a way to make sure we're making disciples. There's no question, theologically, that that's the main thing for us as followers of Jesus Christ and as a church of the Lord Jesus Christ. And we're excited because you have helped us discover a way that everybody can be in on that disciple-making process wherever they are, even if they're sheltering in place, even if they're quarantined at home, they can be involved and help others reach out. So tell us a little more about that.
Certainly, it's a multiplication strategy, and it is exciting because anyone can do it wherever they are. It's also very, very simple, and it basically just takes the model Jesus used. It takes the model we see the Apostle Paul and the early church used in the book of Acts, and it adapts it for our situation, even as we're in quarantine. We see this in Acts 16. When Paul goes into Ephesus, he meets with Lydia. She comes to Christ, and immediately they want to go to her household. But along the way, they were arrested. Went to prison. God miraculously busted open the prison doors. The jailer thought he was going to die. They stopped him. They led him to Christ, and immediately they went to his household. They went to those in his social network. They came to Christ, and then soon Paul was released from prison, Paul and Silas, and where did they go? They went to Lydia's house. So many in her household were saved that they actually formed a church in her home. And it's this idea of reaching people for Christ and then discipling them just using your social network. And that's the way we see the gospel spread in the book of Acts and in the New Testament is through social networks. And so I want our church to have a tool that people can use to reach those in their social network who they know don't have a relationship with Christ.
Now, usually when we think about a social network, we're talking about Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, but you've really got an idea of a map in our minds that's different than that. That's something that all of us have that we can use in this process.
Definitely. Your social network is basically your circle of influence. The idea comes from a word in the Bible called oikos. It means household, but really what it means is those in your circle of influence. And we can create an oikos map as a tool to help people identify who is in their social network. And what's neat is that the majority of the people in our social networks are right there in the contact list in our phone. So this tool is an oikos map that will help people identify who those that are far from God in their social network that they can start beginning to reach for Christ.
That's awesome. So you may not have realized it. You may have never heard that word before, but you have an oikos map. I like to call it your little corner of the world.
That's right.
So once I've got that map figured out, I know who's in my little corner of the world, what next?
Well, the first step is to simply take a piece of paper and make that map. And the way that you make that map is by drawing a circle in the center of the paper, writing your name in that circle. Then you draw 3 to 5 lines from the circle to the outer ends of the page. And then at the end of each line, you make another circle. And you write the person's name in there who you're going to begin to start to reach for Christ. And the first step in doing that is you pray for that person. Don't contact them. Don't reach out to them. Just saturate them in prayer. You can have your family bring your oikos maps that are on the papers to your dinner table. You can pray over them before the meal or before you go to bed at your nightly devotion times with your family or even just in your private prayer time. But step one, after that map is made, is you start praying for them. And then you send them a text message or an email. And just tell them this. Say, hey, I am praying for people in my contact list, and I wanted to know how I could pray for you. And once if they allow you to do that, then you move on to step 3, and you give them a phone call, and you pray with them over the phone. And then in step 4, you call them again. The idea with calling and initiating prayer is that we're going to carry their burdens. So as you're praying for them, let them know that you want to carry that burden to the Lord, that you want to reach out on their behalf and pray for that need. And the reason you follow up with another call in step 4 is because you want them to know that you're deeply concerned about whatever they're going through and that you're going to stay concerned and engaged until that prayer is answered. And so it's a 4-step plan. You pray for them, you reach out to them by text. If they allow, you call them, and then in step 4, you call them again.
That is so good and so simple. You know, I didn't have to go to a 12-week training session, didn't have to go to seminary. I didn't even have to graduate from Sunday school. I can figure this out. So step 1 is I'm looking through my social network, my contact list on my phone. I'm beginning to pray over those, and then I text people. I ask if I can pray with them and for them. If they allow, I call or text them and begin that time of prayer, and then hopefully God will open that door to do that once more. That's the 4th step. That is awesome, Pastor Nick. I love that. Everybody can do those 4 things.
That's right.
What else do I need to know about that?
Well, this is a beginning step, and so we will have other steps and other tools in the coming weeks that you can add to that. But as you're praying for people and talking to them, it's always important to look for gospel opportunities. And in our next videos, we're going to share how people can take that next step. But for now, between now and that next video, I would just ask that people would take this method, that they would take this tool, that they would use it. And it would really be incredible if we had 200 members from Mission Hill Church reaching out to 3 to 5 people for the purpose of praying for them, while having a plan to say, hey, one day this is going to turn into a gospel conversation.
And that is so awesome. You can do this right where you are, even in quarantine, sheltering at home, and make a difference. I hope you'll take that word, maybe that's a new word to you as you hear this, that you'll create your Oikos map. You'll begin to pray through and invite those folks to allow you to pray with them, and then you'll walk through each of these steps. I can't wait to see what God's going to do in His church as you and I take this opportunity seriously. We look forward to sharing more again in the coming days. Until then, you be blessed following God's process during this time.